Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Eyes Wide Shut. Now, I also have another channel, and it's called Spiritual Echelon, which is my side channel. Please go over to that channel if you want to look at videos on spirituality, meditation, yoga, ley lines, and all of that kind of thing, yeah? This is more to do with the metaphysical. This channel, Eyes Wide Shut, is more to do with current affairs and stuff like that. Now, in this video today, I'm going to be making certain predictions I believe is going to happen in 2024. This is part 1, and I'm going to talk about 10 events that I think is going to happen in 2024. These are my predictions. In part 2, I'm going to go on and talk about another 8 events which I believe are going to happen in 2024. That is in part 2. But let's start off with part 1. There's going to be so many changes, people, coming up into 2024. And I don't want to be a doomsday sayer, right? But there's going to be some massive changes going on in the world. So the best thing that you can do is try and to prepare and get your family to prepare for certain events which will be coming up. And 2024, believe you me, is just the start of it. 2024 is just the start of it. Because from 2024 going up to 2030, you're going to see some events. And you need to just get prepared and ready for them. Number one, there's going to be continuing food shortages. We saw this from 2020 when everyone was having this. Not everyone, but majority of people were having the BAP. There was food shortages going on then. There was lorry strikes, so food couldn't get through. There were ship strikes, so some ships couldn't get through. You had farmers, they were losing their land. They were losing their crops. And why? Places such as Holland, they said that there was too much nitrogen in the soil. This is WEF, the World Economic Forum. So you need to reduce the amounts of nitrogen that's in your soil. Not only that, you think about the expense of equipment, buying equipment, and also buying chemicals in order to run your farm. Some farmers, as a result, you know what they did? They took their waste and their rubbish and they dumped it right outside of the hay in their lorries and their tractors. In India, you had people, poor people who were running farms. They were taking out loans in order to try and continue running their farms. And a lot of them got into debts. So you know what they did? Quite a few of them started to commit suicide. These are things that you can check out. You don't have to believe what I'm saying to you. But 2024, there's going to be much more austerity. Plus, WEF and the UN and this COP28, they would like to see a more sustainable environment. They're talking about there's too much methane and carbon dioxide, I believe. Correct me on this if I'm wrong. And nitrogen also in the soil. And so they're trying to encourage farmers to be more productive and have a more sustainable environment. So you're probably going to see a reduction in the terms of, you're probably going to see a reduction in meat. You're going to see a reduction in things such as cows, lambs, pigs, and those types of animals, sheep, in order to try and bring down the levels of the amount of methane that's in the air and that these animals are producing. You see, when I talk about farmers getting rid of cattle, what I should really say is farmers will be forced to reduce the amounts of cattle which they have. And I'll say that again. Farmers will be asked to reduce the amounts of livestock which they have. And this is going to be all parts of the sustainable goals under WEF. That is the World Economic Forum, and under the UN, and under COP28. There's a lot of countries that have signed up to their policies and to their ideas. So when you hear me talking about government, I'm talking mainly about WEF, the UN, and COP28. They have a lot of influence on countries who have signed up to their agenda. Right, number two, you're going to see more divide between communities, as if there hasn't been quite a divide as it stands at the moment. From 2020 again, you start to see society starting to fragment and divide. You start to see families falling out with each other over the BAP, okay, over the BAP, where some refuse to take it and others wanted to take it in order for them to be able to go to work and to go out to certain events. So they took the BAP, whereas other people said, nope, it's too soon. Some people said, no, I'm not going to take the BAP. I'm going to wait for a while and see the effects of what this thing is having on others. Not only that, you had the divide amongst different workforces. So nurses start to go on strike, doctors start to go on strike, railway workers start to go on strike, fighting against the government to try and get higher pay, to try and get better working conditions. You're going to see a continuation of this in 2024. You're going to see a reduction, an even greater reduction in the police force also. The thing is, these services are vital services. If there's a reduction in the amount of police officers in the community, what do you think is going to happen in terms of crime? There's going to be much more crime. Some people don't like the police, but at the end of the day, if you were in trouble, if you got burgled, if you were being assaulted, you'd want the police present. But in 2024, you're going to see more crime. You're going to see more people off key. You're going to see a lot more things like shoplifting. You're going to see more crime rate, like things like burglary and robbery. Number 3, job contracts are starting to change. Since 2020. It's funny how during 2020, how many things changed. Employers were starting to rewrite job contracts. Employers, I say, were starting to rewrite job contracts. So now they've included, and you've got to read the small print carefully. If you don't have this thing, if you don't have it, you cannot work. Trust what I'm telling you. If you don't have this thing, you will not be able to work. You will not be able to travel. So how are you going to earn an income? They've shortened the sick pay in many places also. So where you used to get 6 months, this is in some places, we used to get 6 months sick pay, and then after that it would be reduced to half pay after 6 months. This is if you're off sick. Now they've reduced both of these dichotomies down to 3 months each. So if you're off for longer than 3 months sick, your money will drop down to half pay. And after this time, if you're still sick, I don't know how you're going to live. This is another predicament I'm making, that you're going to see much more people being laid off and out of work in 2024. Number 4, you're going to see the continuation of the war going on in Europe at the moment between these two different countries. That war is not going to end in 2024. It's going to escalate, and it's going to escalate into other regions. It's going to escalate into other countries as other countries start to get involved. You're going to see in the Middle East, that war also is not going to end in 2024. If it does, it will be temporary. I think the war in the Middle East will spill over into North Africa, and then from North Africa down into the West of Africa and down into East Africa. And in Asia, you will see a conflict between two different forces there. China, and I'm not 100% sure, but China will come into conflict with another Asian country. So therefore you'll have 4 different conflicts in 4 different regions of the planet. That's number 4. Number 5, you'll see more banks starting to close down. In America, quite a few banks start to close down. In the UK, quite a few banks started to close down. Also, not only just the banks, but the ATM services have started to be reduced. Right, go to www.commonslibraryparliament.uk. That is Commons Library Parliament, that's one word, .uk. And this is some information I've got from there. In recent years, cash has been used less often for payments by people and businesses, while the use of digital payment methods led by debit cards has accelerated. I'll read on. The pandemic saw a drop in cash use. By 2021, cash payments accounted for 15% of all payments. So they're saying that there's more people using digital money and debit cards over cash. I believe this is going to cause massive conflicts, but I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a minute. I think you're going to see a massive spillover of people on the street who are going to be protesting over not being able to use cash, and there'll be so much more people who want to carry on using this digitalized money. I don't see why it's not possible to have a 2-tier system. Those people who want to use cash and those who want to use digital. But let me tell you this. The CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency, which they're going to roll out by the end of next year in the UK, is going to mean less freedom in terms of where you can spend your money, when you can spend your money, and with whom you can spend your money. It all seems like a good idea right now, but people aren't thinking about further on down the line. Every transaction that you make is being monitored. Everywhere you go is being monitored. Every single thing that you buy is being monitored. This is going to cause, for some people, a lot of problems. And so you're going to start to see people coming out on the streets and protesting against this. And you're not only just going to see it in the UK, you're going to see it in other countries. People will be coming out and protesting, saying, no, we want to carry on using cash. You're going to see other countries also, besides the UK, such as France and Italy, coming out against this digitalized money. Number 6, you're going to see the creeping of more AI and bots being used in hospitals to do operations, because there is so much backlog, which is going back to a couple of years. There's millions of people who are waiting for operations, who are waiting for surgery. And so this is causing a strain on the NHS. So you're going to start to see more bots doing operations on human beings. By the year 2027, I predict that you'll have bots actually doing totally independent surgery on human beings. At the moment, bots are being guided. These robots are being guided by surgeons. But it won't be too far down the future before bots are actually doing these surgeries independent of surgeons. And so what is that going to mean for the jobs of surgeons? I'll leave it there. Number 7, you're going to see massive sun flares, and it's going to start off round about April. I would say round about April the 8th of 2024. There's already been a lot of solar flares knocking out certain pylons and power stations around the world. This hasn't really been reported on heavily in the news, but trust, next year you're going to see the increase of solar flares. I think the solar flares are going to knock out quite a lot of these satellites, and there's going to be days that we're going to be sat in darkness without any energy, without any use of computers. But I believe that there's going to be certain governments around the world, they're going to take advantage of this natural catastrophe and knock out the power around the world and try and restart the economy. So there's going to be days that we're going to be in total darkness. You won't be able to take no money out of the bank. You're not going to be able to heat up your home. You're not going to be able to use your computers. Number 8, there'll start to be drone surveillance. I believe it's already happening in the UK now, but you're going to start to see more surveillance by drones. And what are the drones doing? They'll be watching people that they suspect of certain things, certain activities, and so therefore they'll be watching them. Not only that, drones will be also used by people, that drones will be used by certain pharmacists in order to drop drugs off to their patients. Number 9, government wants to try and get these cars off the road. You start to see worldwide a lot of governments trying to get people who drive cars that are diesel operated or petrol operated to try and get these off the road, because what they want to do is to bring in these battery operated cars. So they want to bring in electric cars over petrol and diesel. So how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? They're probably going to increase tax on the vehicles. They're going to increase insurance on the vehicles. What else will they do? Put up the price of servicing and putting your vehicles through MOTs. And here's going to be the big crux. I think what they will also do is to get rid of driving license, where once upon a time, once you pass your driving test, that was it for life. You wouldn't have to take any more tests. You take your driving test, you get your full license, and then you'd have that for the rest of your life. I believe they're going to bring in a scheme, and it will have 3 increments: a 5-year, a 8-year, and a 10-year driving license. And all dependent on if you've had any accidents or things like speeding, you will fit into the 5, the 8, or the 10-year categories. But there will be no more driving license for life. And this will be another way that they'll get the cars off of the road. Number 10, you're going to see much more whistleblowers. People who work for the mass media, people who work for government, pop stars coming out and speaking up against the government and certain things that have been going on within the government will start to be revealed. Now, these people who come out against the government, they will be character assassinated, because what is happening right now and what will happen more in the future is trial by media. I'll say it again. What will start to happen more frequently as from 2024 is trial by media, not trial by the court. People will be found guilty until proven innocent, where it should be the other way around. They are innocent until proven guilty, and that should be in a court of law. But so many things are going to change in 2024, and these are my 10 predictions for part 1 of this video, with part 2 to come, where I'll talk about another 8 events I see happening, another 8 predictions I see happening in 2024. Please join me for this. This is Eldad Amara with another video. Over and out.